In this video, we're going to continue talking about Substance, and we're going to continue with Stager, which is a software in the Substance package that can help us create scenes, 3D scenes more complex than the one that we create with Substance Painter. And we can also add lights, we can import and add objects inside the scene. So not just one single object, but we can create an entire 3D scene. And we're going to see some of the features here. It's a really simple and easy tool that we can use, and it also has a powerful render called the RayTracing render here. And you see here I've set up also some depth of field and some lights, but we're gonna go through the whole um, um, software real quick here. We're gonna do an introduction and we're gonna see the interface a little bit. Now, already in the previous lesson, we started using Substance Stager using a model that we already work with in Substance Painter. So it's really easy to go from Substance Painter to Substance Stager. We already saw that in the previous lesson. Now this is the model that we used, and we changed it a little bit in terms of materials in Substance Painter, which still is probably the most important tool in the package of Substance, but we're gonna have a look also to the other tools and software that we have in the Substance package. So this is a model from this order right here, and we have all the other information right here. So you can use the FBX, or you can just export it from Substance, as we did again in the previous lesson. Now you can use any model. You can import more models in Substance. So, for example, another model that we used previously was this alien hominid in that we got from again Sketchfab, and this is the other rear and the model as well. This is FBX. So you can import anything you want. You can assemble a scene, an entire scene, not using just one single asset in Substance Stager. So Stager is mainly used for, as you can see here, interiors, or again product design, industrial design, product visualization, and architecture, advertising, packaging, and so on. This was formerly called Adobe Dimension, then changed the name, but it basically stays the same. It has some libraries, some assets you can use. So you can apply materials, you can apply decals, graphics, just like in Substance Painter, but moreover, you can use lights. You can position lights, you can position backgrounds, you can use environments like in Painter. So it's pretty similar. And it's also, again, an evolution of Dimension. Now it's more similar to Painter than it was when it was called Dimension. So it's, you can, stay in Substance if you want to do also the renderings and create like an entire set, which could be an interior or exterior or a studio, and you can create 3D scenes. Otherwise, you can go in other software like Blender, for example, which is open source, or you can use 3ds Max or Cinema 4D. Those are for creating scenes, and you can do also more advanced animations in this, which you cannot do in the Stager. So if you want to like create something more complex, you can use those. You can use also Twinmotion, which is again for rendering materials and library assets. So again, you can assemble really realistic scenes, and with really powerful ArcViz and ProdViz features. So, and you'll find also the courses in the channel about this. Also, Escape, pretty similar to Twinmotion, and Chaos Vantage, again similar to Escape, Twinmotion, to create exterior, interior scenes, product design, and so on. So let's get started here, and let's talk about the interface here in Substance Stager. Now the first thing is the navigation. You'll find here on the left side this toolbar where you have all the tools. So you have the navigation, orbit, and panning and zooming, which are similar, well actually I think identical to Substance Painter. So you can hold the Alt key on your keyboard and click with the left mouse to orbit, middle mouse or scroll wheel, you can press it to pan, and hold the Alt and the left and the right, to zoom in and out. And then we have other tools here. For example, if I want to continue to import stuff, I can click on the plus and I can import I can directly go in the 3D asset marketplace, which we already saw in another video, or we can go here and select what to import in the scene. You can import an image as a background. You can import an image as a light. You can place a material on a selection. You can place an image on a 3D model. And you can entirely import a model. So if I get this, and you have like USD, which is the stager format, or you can use standard FBX or OBJ. I'm gonna go for this, and you always need to define if you want to include or exclude the unused materials, and I don't want to include those. And if you want to generate extra UVs for models that don't have UVs. So every time you're going to import something, here on the import is going to ask you if you want to do that. There you go. So I'm just going to import to show you, and there you go. So we have the other object right here. It's missing the texture, so we probably need to re-import them, but you can also try with GLTF. Maybe it's going to bring also the various textures, and you can see this works like Substance Painter. So up here you have the entire scene, so everything is grouped into folders. You can lock a model. You can hide a part of the model like this. So I've hidden this first part. You can also right click and rename it. You can also delete elements. So for example, if I want to delete this one, I click on the delete key, or you know, cancel key. So I'm gonna also delete. So now I only have the alien with the blaster. And then another really interesting thing you have here is collisions. So you can activate collisions from here, and you can make your object act like an object grouped together like this. If I use the folder, and also you want to activate collision also here. So depending if you want to treat this as a group, or if you want to, work on each separate object, you can go inside and you can work only on that object. And right now I am in ray tracing mode, by the way, which is kind of the advanced rendering. So I turn this off so we can see a little bit faster what's happening here. There you go. So if I activate collision and I move this, let's say on the top here of this other model, which also I want to use with the collision. So let's go here up, and that's gonna be my lesson 15. That's the model, and then I activate collision right here, and then go back to the alien. So click on this untiled folder and just push this down. So you can see what's happening. The alien is kind of, falling down because it's acting like it's kind of a statue falling down on top of the other model. So this is how we can kind of simulate collisions between objects, and it's a interesting feature here in Substance Stager. Now that we turned off the render engine, I can do this real quick. You can see it's kind of an animated simulation. Now ray tracing, it's gonna be better, but it's also gonna be every time it's gonna be kind of pixelated, and it takes a lot of time before it actually gets rid of the noise here and becoming a good render. Now another thing you can do with ray tracing or real-time render, these are the two renders here. If you click here on the settings, you have real-time and ray tracing. So what you can do is use other type of materials. And also here you have IBL shadows, and IBL, it means image baselining. So it's based on an image, and here you can define the shadow opacity. You can use displacement effects or not, and so on. And same goes for ray tracing. You have quality. You can also set a maximum time for rendering, so then it stops. And you have the noiser, and you have resolution. So again, pretty similar to what we just saw in Substance Painter. So I'm not going to spend time on features that you already know. What I want to show you here is, let's go here in the assets library. So the libraries, these are your libraries that you can create by downloading stuff from Adobe Stock or Adobe Marketplace. You can save and use this as your libraries for After Effects, Photoshop, and so on. You can share the same libraries with all the Adobe